All right, guys, welcome to the GSTL Season 1. This is the Jupiter group, and this is Week 1, and joined with me today is FXO's own Unstable.
Thanks, Wolf. Good to be here.
Are you excited? How are you feeling about today's matches?
Oh, of course I'm excited, man. SlayerS MVP, last final, straight up. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's two of the best players, or teams, I should say, going at it right at the start, and here they are now. Coming down the middle is SlayerS. A very huge roster coming in here today that barely even have enough seats for their team over there on the side.
Yeah, there's at least
Stella
20,
coming in the middle.
25 players in that roster too.
Yeah, it's actually a huge roster, so a lot of great players in there. SlayerS actually been doing really well recently in the Super Tournament and the qualifiers as well. Getting ready, going to do their little cheer, I guess you could say, trying to get themselves pumped up. There's Boxer, the Emperor himself, trying to give some divine inspiration. He is the god of StarCraft. And in fact, we actually spoke to his girlfriend earlier today. She's wearing a medic outfit she made herself. And she said, he is my Marine and I am his medic. So, I don't know, how are you feeling about the starting players? Let's not talk about those just yet.
No.
But they have been announced.
They have been announced?
Some of our foreign fans in the crowd. Oh, signing an autograph there for one of our fans in the audience. Sable, are you speechless, man?
Of course I am.
You're feeling a little speechless? You haven't said much, man.
No, not yet. I got to get into the groove first.
You gotta get into the groove.
I've only been here a minute.
Oh, there's Picari Sweat, by the way, which is a sponsor of SlayerS. They have a lot of those sitting over there. If you guys come to Korea, you should definitely try Picari Sweat. It's a great drink. It's a little weird at first, I have to admit, but it's really, really good.
I have to admit, I haven't tried it yet because we did get a case at the Gum House,
Yeah,
and then it
did.
was gone 2 minutes later.
That's because it's so good, man. All right, we're going to take a look at the lineup. Well, we will in just a moment here. All right, so there's our SlayerS team. It was established on January 13th, 2011. They're first place in the GSTL with the most points, obviously doing quite well twice. Winning, of course, in March and in May. The first season, they flopped a little bit. Everyone was kind of going, oh, SlayerS maybe not so good, but they've improved a lot.
Yeah, they were very new back then.
Yeah, that's very true. And a lot of their players now have had time to gel. As you can see, they have some of their players in Codas, Alicia in Codas and Code. There's Boxer, MMA, Ryung, and Min. But there are way more players who could even be in Codas that just haven't qualified just yet.
Absolutely. Code A qualifies is the most intense thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. If you guys haven't been, if you get a chance to go to qualifiers while you're here, you definitely should. It's a great experience. It's like Courage in StarCraft 1. As you can see, the captain of the team is SlayerS MMA, and the coach is Hong Sung Pyo. As you guys know him as SlayerS Sella. So he is the coach. He's been doing a great job coaching this team. He transformed this team into a winning team, doing actually a great job.
Yeah, of course. Under the wise guidance of Boxer himself.
Yeah.
Cannot be more jealous of him, though.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, how would it feel to be coach of SlayerS, making all the decisions of one of the most powerful teams in the universe?
Oh, it's not going to be an easy day for them today, though.
It's definitely not going to be an easy day. It's not going to be an easy win by any means. And there is SlayerS MMA, who actually, if you guys haven't been really following, made it to the finals of the GSL Super Tournament, but was 4-0'd by Polk. I saw him walk into the studio today, and he looked a little disgruntled. You know, he looks like he hasn't been sleeping well. I mean, that sounds kind of funny, but I'm serious. He looks a little stressed today.
Well, it was only a few days ago.
Yeah.
And a game like that really can mess with you mentally. And even at the quality that these guys are playing at, it's very, very hard to get off that.
Exactly. All right, so I think we're going to take a look at MVP. Most valuable players we'll see here today. Are they? Walking out, the crowd goes wild. There's a lot of MVP fans here today as they walk in.
Lots of MVP fans actually watching as well.
Yeah. Dongre Gu has been making quite the stir in not only the foreign scene, but here in Korea as well. Especially in Korea, actually. He's got so many fans. In fact, when I was at the Super Tournament finals, they did that 3D finals for the Special League, and I was actually the only person in the entire crowd who cheered for SC, and everyone looked at me all weird. Then when Dongre Gu played, the entire crowd went wild, and I was like, whoa! So many Dongre Gu fans.
quite unfortunate he hasn't been able to make it into Code A yet.
Yeah, he actually lost to OGS Hero. I was there for that match, and it was a very, very tense match indeed. Didn't make it to the final round of that qualifier, though.
Yep.
You can see there's our audience, one of our fans getting signed there, and see a lot of foreigners in the audience. If you guys come down to Seoul, Korea, feel free to come down to the studio here in Mukdong. You can talk to me, you can talk to Unstable, who's not very talkative today.
Oh, I'll be talkative. You got to get me into my
You're just
groove,
like
man.
trying to save your voice, trying to save your energy, so
Yes.
that when you get into the games, you can scream and yell and get excited.
That's what I do best.
Oh, look at that. That's a sign on an iPad. That's really cool, actually. People are starting to do that.
That is a cool idea.
All right, here's MVP. See their lineup. All right, so they were established on October 26, 2010. They're 8th place in the GSTL, but remember, they've only participated once. They did get 2nd place, so that's a lot of points there. And I've got several players in Code S, Genius, Violet, and Keen. Those are some very scary players indeed. And also Noble S, a Code A player, very, very strong. Shows some very good strategies. The captain, of course, is Odin MVP, and the coach is Yoon Sung Choi. I don't know if he has an ID. I actually don't know. I don't recognize that name.
We're gonna have to look that up afterwards.
Yeah, someone will show me on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, Unstable over here, I made him get a Twitter today. You can follow him at FXO Unstable. You can follow me at FXO Wolf. You can follow GomTV at GomTVNet. And not only that, you can watch GomTV VODs on m.gomtv.net. You can look up the schedule. It's a great website. Check it out.
All from your iPhone.
Yeah, all from your iPhone, your Android phone. You've got one of those old Nokia phones. You might be out of luck, but you can try. You can try.
I don't know. The new Nokias are pretty good
The
now.
new Nokias are quite good. That's
Yeah.
very true. All right, I'm ready to get into this. Are you ready, Unstable?
Oh, I've been ready for like a week.
You've been ready for a week. Yeah. If you guys don't know, Unstable has been living in the GOM house with me and FX Open for about a week and a half now. The teams finally all gotten here. Sheth got here very recently. We're playing tomorrow, so just some info for you guys who didn't know. We've got a foreign team living in the GOM house.
Yeah, it's very different having everyone in the one house.
Yeah, it is very different. It's a very different lifestyle for everyone, but I think that we're starting to get adjusted and we're really excited about our chances. Having a little discussion here in the middle with the coaches. It's like a football coin toss. Oh no, the first player has been announced for both teams. That's public information, so they know who their first player is sending out. And how it works is you announce your first player to them, and then they tell you the other person's first player as you announce it, so you don't know beforehand. It's very specific to this GSTL. It's not on the other ones. All right, so here's our schedule. It's going to go from June 23rd all the way until September 2nd, so it is quite long. It's going to be every week, Thursday and Friday at 6:10 p.m. Korean Standard Time, so that's 5:10 p.m. Over there on the East Coast. You guys can do the rest. We've got a long list of teams. We've got SlayerS, Incredible Miracle, StarTale, Team SCB Life, OGSTL, ZenX, MVP, Prime.we, Boyu, NS Hoso, FX Open Esports, and F United. F United, by the way, a team that's got a lot of foreigners in it, kind of combined with Me Made Fox. You guys can see the prize money there is quite large, and also there's a Best Coach Award. That's very important. If you get the Best Coach Award, everyone's going to want you to, in the future, if you maybe leave your team.
It is a very specific skill set to do that.
It is.
You have to know everything about everyone, about every race.
You really do.
And it really does confuse a lot of people.
So here we are.
Oh, here we are.
Here's Dan, Unstable. Speaking of coaches, Dan and I actually both coach and help manage the FXO team.
We do everything.
Even though I'm a player for FXO and a commentator for FXO and the GSL, I'm also a coach.
Yep.
Dan does a lot of stuff with the house. Why don't you tell him about what you do, Dan?
I do? Oh. Sorry about that. They can hear me better. I am the manager of the team. I help them guys out with a lot of things they do. I also coach with Wolf himself. Also the go-to tech support guy while we're in the GOM house as well. And it's going to be good.
Yeah. It's
very excited
really
to be here.
How do you like being the tech support guy when all the computers are in Korean?
Well, I recently left my IT support job to come to esports, and now I'm doing it anyway, so I just can't get away.
Man, you're so good with tech support. If you ever need tech support when you're in Korea, I don't know if you can get help from him because he's a really busy guy.
Well,
If you're in the studio, you've got your cell phone out, you're like, hey, Unstable, I heard you're good with tech support. I can't get this thing to go away off my phone. It's like your grandma. You know, your grandma brings the phone. It's like, can you delete this number out of my phone? You know what I'm talking about?
you laugh, but it's actually a really frustrating thing to have happen.
I remember when I was like 12, my grandmother gave me her phone, and she had this big list of papers. She was like, put every number in my phone. So I did. I put all of them in there. It was actually really fun because I was 12, and I was like, this is so cool. I'm using this newfangled technology. It was one of those old Nokia phones with no color.
And it's as big as your hand?
Yeah, as big as your hand,
you had
man.
to use both hands to hold it?
Then after you put in all of her little numbers that are in the stack, it's like you can't put any more numbers in. You're like, oh, oops.
Who's more important to my
Yeah,
grandma?
exactly. You start asking your grandma. She's like feeling all upset and stuff.
No, it's going to be good. I think both players are in game now.
Yeah, they are, in fact, in game. The first map is going to be Crossfire, which is a pretty interesting map. I don't want to talk about our players just yet.
Just yet? We'll wait till the start of the game.
Wait until they show up here in just a second.
Yeah.
But they're pretty good.
But to those of you who haven't actually checked online yet, it is SlayerS Alicia starting for them. And it's going to be Noblesse, I believe I pronounced that right. I
Yes.
hope I did, for MVP.
I'm like, I'm not going to spoil it, and you're like, nah, let's just talk about it. Let's just do it.
We can announce the players. I just don't want to
All
spoil
right, well,
it.
here's our group breakdown, guys, for you guys. There's two groups in the GSTL. There's Jupiter and Venus. Jupiter plays on Thursdays. Venus plays on Friday. And players in Jupiter do not meet players in Venus for a long time until the playoffs. So basically, if you've got two teams in Jupiter, they don't want to practice with each other. But, for example, FXO has been practicing with Prime. Yep. So, you know, since we're not going to meet each other for a long time, it's okay to practice together. So there's the list of the players. SlayerS, TSL, OGSTL, MVP, Prime, and F United are in Jupiter. That's today's games. And tomorrow, the Venus section is IM, StarTel, FOU, Xenix, NS Hoso, FX Open Esports. That's us.
Yep. It is slightly different between both groups, though. The Jupiter group only does have one team game per week, whereas Venus has two for the first 5 weeks, and then it swaps it around.
Yes, exactly. You can see the maps there as well. Metalopolis, Zelnaga Caverns, Crossfire, Terminus Re, Tal'Darim Altar, Crevasse, Dual Sight, Zelnaga Fortress, and Belshire Beach. What do you think about those newer maps? I haven't really had a chance to talk to you about that because when we cast together normally we cast on some different maps. What do you think about the GSL maps?
Well, they've shown some pretty good promise so far. They are very deep strategically. I don't think they've fully been shown the potential between the two teams because they're very nervous. They want to stay with what they know. We have seen a couple of the maps like Belshire Beach used as a sniping map, as a lot of players do feel it's Zerg-centric, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit of trivia. As far as I know, no Protoss has ever beaten a Zerg on Belshire Beach except when SlayerS Frozen lost to...
No, Frozen beat Violet.
Exactly.
There we go.
Thank you, Dan.
I do my research.
Well, guys, it's the GSTL. Get excited. This is just day one. Today we've got SlayerS versus MVP. Tomorrow there's even more. It's the GSTL, man. It's like the best league ever. It's extended. It's for a whole month. It's actually a whole month?
No, 3 months.
3 months.
3 months. Even better. So.
It's not just a week anymore. So get excited for that. Buy the VODs. Get those if you don't, if you can't stay up every night, every Thursday and Friday night, watch that. Now remember, guys, also Nick and Dan, Tastosis, they will be back here as well to cast some of the Team League games right now. They're away on vacation with Juani and Cambodia, so that's where they are. That's why we're not casting right now. I'm pretty jealous myself. There's some more of our foreign fans there. So don't worry, they will be back. We're going to be doing some rotations of casters. There's even some more mystery casters that will be joining in the mix here in the coming days that you guys don't even know about just yet. And it's going to be a secret, unless GomTV posts it. I don't know.
They'll post it now that you've said that.
Oh, shh. Don't tell them yet. Yeah, we might have some players come in and cast, possibly. Maybe some GOM employees. I don't know. Who's it going to be?
We'll keep them entertained.
We'll keep them entertained. All right, so as you said, it is going to be Alicia versus Noblesse. The map is Crossfire. Last time we saw Alicia play on Crossfire, did a very interesting all-in. He bought Void Rays and attacked, broke down the rocks, used a clever Sentry Force Field to trap some of the units out, and he came around the backdoor rocks. There's backdoor rocks on Crossfire, for those of you guys who didn't know. So check that VOD out. We might do something similar. I think right now, though, on Crossfire, it's very difficult to defeat a Terran.
Yeah. Well, they have known this matchup for a few days now. I believe it was Monday that they were actually announced to the teams. So he's had a solid time.
Yeah. And yeah, so they did choose to put a Protoss out from the start, so they've got to be feeling a little confident about it.
Yeah, well, it's very difficult to know who's going to go up first because you want to have a good matchup for yourself, but you're trying to think of what they're going to do as well.
Yeah.
And it's just impossible to tell. You just got to go with what you think is best.
It's always best to send out a player that you know is not nervous, has a lot of experience, and is an all-around good player in all matchups. You don't want to send somebody out who is very specific with his matchups, for example, or someone who gets a little nervous, is a little bit newer to the team. You don't want to do that. All right, we're going to take a look at our players. There's SlayerS Alicia himself. He's got the Precari Sweat in his booth. Did you know that Precari Sweat, there's actually, I did a study. Precari Sweat increases your win percentage by like 23% or something like that if you have Precari Sweat in your booth. I'm serious.
I'll have to try that then.
So obviously his May results, he made it to the round of 16 in Code S, and in the Super Tournament made it all the way to the round of 8. He was the chosen one, the last Protoss in the round of 8. Protoss is kind of struggling right now, man.
It is. We did have an all Terran semi-final. Very interesting to see that come up.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of the beta days and the earlier days of StarCraft 2's release, where Terrans were just destroying everyone, and right now there are just a lot of strong Terrans, and a lot of them are on SlayerS.
Yeah. I think it's just going to take time for Protoss to realize how to change it up. It is very difficult to completely change your fundamental way you play.
Yeah.
So you give them time. I'm sure there's a lot of good players out there, very smart players as well. They'll get it in the end.
They definitely will. I mean, right now, well, hold that thought. Here's our next player, NobleS, a Terran player. Very interesting strategies. He was the first one to show us a very... he's the first one to use Ghosts in TBT in a televised match. He EMP'd some Banshees, and I always remember that match. He played against, I think maybe it was Malika. He ended up losing the game, or the series rather, but he showed some really interesting strategies. He's a very clever and creative player. His results, he made it to round of 16 in Code A, so he wasn't knocked out of Code A, but of course did not advance the round of, or actually, I take it back, did he make it to Code S? I don't believe so. But anyway, he was knocked out in the round of 64 in the Super Tournament. How are you feeling about his chances here today?
Well, just looking at both of the guys' matchups with their past results, I don't think it means a lot more than people think they do. Both these guys are very strong players. They're on teams with amazing support from all of their teammates as well. It's very, very difficult to actually advance in these GSL tournaments. The player caliber is so high, and I think these guys are going to be fairly evenly matched up, even though it doesn't look like it on paper.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The first map, like I said, is going to be Crossfire, and that you made a very good point. A lot of people right now look at players' results and go, oh, well, this guy doesn't have any results, so therefore he must not be as good as Y player. But you just don't know. I mean, we saw some great players in the qualifiers you've never even heard of. You've seen him on the ladder maybe, and you're like, who's this guy? He doesn't even have a team. Does extremely well in the qualifiers, and you're like, this guy could be Code S. We saw those people, and there are a lot of people lurking around like that.
Yeah, I will confess I was one of those people until I stood in that Kodak qualifier room, and so many amazing players couldn't make it. Here we go, and we are starting it up.
The countdown has started. Who's going to take this game one? Will it be Alicia, or will it be NobleS? Which one will get their team the first point? We'll find out in just a minute. All right, over here in the bottom left, a member of the team SlayerS, the chosen one, he is
SlayerS Alicia.
Check out that new intro voice, it's kind of intense, man.
I like it.
All right, oh, SlayerS fighting. Upvote that, over 9,000 upvotes on that. MVP not so much. All right, up here at the top, we've got our Terran player on the team, MVP. A very creative and strong Terran player he is.
MVP NobleS.
I love those new intros.
Yeah, they are great. Definitely deserving for these players. So it is going to be a PvT matchup. What do you think we're going to see from these guys?
Well, on this map, almost every single time I've watched this matchup, the Terran player goes for some sort of tank, Banshee type of push. It's a tech-oriented build. And the reason why is this map architecture lends itself to that kind of attack. I know I talk about this on cast all the time when I cast a GSL, but it just really does.
Yep.
Here must be Cass and Braddock. Go SlayerS.
Yeah, there's a lot of cliffs and a lot of routes of Avenue, and it's going to be a hard time for the Protoss player to actually get at those tanks on the bottom of the cliff for the extra support.
Exactly where that probe's going around there. If you have to control the Zelnaga watchtowers, it becomes very difficult for the pros to kind of maneuver around the tanks. There's vision there. And it's very difficult for the Protoss to expand. That's why last time Alicia played on this map, he went for an all-in, and then afterwards took the gold base because it's a little bit riskier, or a little bit less risky, because if your opponent doesn't scout it, well, I guess you could say it's less risky in one way, but more risky in another.
Yeah. Well, given that same thing, what do you think about Blink Stalkers on this map?
Blink Stalkers can be quite good on this map. I think that the map architecture allows that to be an interesting strategy, but unfortunately, they can't really maneuver through the center after they do that first initial blink. It becomes very difficult to move around after that. Now, Alicia's going to come in here, he's going to see no gas, which is going to really confuse him, I think, because most players do like to do that type of strategy that I was just mentioning. But instead here, we have going to be a gasless expand. So a lot of players have been doing this more recently, and then taking up into Ghost, getting pretty quick Ghosts, and doing a little 2-base timing attack after playing defensively. That seems to be the style right now. Ring King was kind of the first person to start doing that in the GSL.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see something similar from Noblesse here.
Yeah, we do see that Marine patrolling at the bottom of the ramp to try and get a couple of hits. Does not want another probe up there anytime soon. As that command center does go down, but I'm pretty sure Alicia knows what's up.
Yep. I think he definitely does. I mean, there's only two possibilities when you see no gas. One is a command center, the other one is some sort of crazy 3 proxy barracks or 4 proxy barracks type of all-in. You don't normally see that. There's also this all-in I'd like to talk about a little bit called this. I like to call it the supply drop all-in, where you make 2 hidden barracks and you just drop a supply depot so that you don't have to make one, and then you just go with about 4 or 5 Marines and all of your SCVs. I'm sure some of you guys have had this on the ladder, you know what I'm talking about, but it's happened to me a lot on this server, makes me really mad. But obviously that's not what we're going to be seeing here from MVP. Noblesse.
As you say that, I thought he was going to go build something there, but no, he's just going to sit on patrol.
Yeah, I think he may plan on hiding a starport there eventually.
Yeah.
His factory is on the way, so he's taking up here pretty quickly. Now this Stalker can not only outmaneuver, but outrange these Marines.
I like the positioning of those Marines on the top of the ramp as well. Some Protoss do like to try and use the shields of the Stalker to get in and past the Marines to see what's going on and sacrifice the Stalker.
Very good choice. Now, Alicia going to fast expand to the gold base. We've actually seen Protoss do this a lot in the past. I think it was even Trickster, or maybe it was the other Protoss on that team who fast expand to the gold off of 1 gate. And this SCV is going to come in here. He's going to see the second gas. He's going to see everything, man. Just barely got out of there. And he's going to want to... He's basically looking for a robo right now, because you don't normally take double gas and then go for a fast nexus like that. So he's probably thinking, oh, maybe some sort of hidden starport, maybe a robo somewhere. He doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah, from what he saw in there, it is going to put up a red flag for him. And we'll see which way he wants to go with it. But with that expansion for the gold, this is going to make things very, very difficult for Noblesse.
Yeah, it is. Siege mode is being researched right now, as well as starport is on the way. The command center is up, but since he doesn't know exactly what's going on, he's like, you have 2 gas, but I don't see a nexus. I don't really know. I only saw a second gateway. He's kind of feeling a little apprehensive about moving it down, which is pretty smart.
Yep.
Now that gold base is finishing up, and once that happens, the economy is really going to kick in.
Well, he did just scan the main here for Alicia and only saw 3 units. It has to be a big tell that something else is going on there.
That's very true. Players just trying to scout around, see what's going on, both a little bit in the dark. Obviously, Alicia knowing a little bit more of what's going on than Noblesse does, but even so, Noblesse actually, you know, he's doing something a little bit unusual. You don't normally see very quick tech like this after you go for a no gas. And
there we go.
So he does see it. He knows what's going on now.
Yep.
Barely any probes there. Alicia choosing not to transfer his probes. He's going to move forward with some sentries. Now he's moving across the map with 2 sentries, and he's going to join up with that Stalker at the bottom of the ramp. Now he may try to force field his opponent into the ramp.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's going to be doing. He wants to delay him getting out, even if he wants to attack that gold base and just buy himself some time. Here come the units. Force field at the bottom of the ramp. Nicely done. And now he's just stuck.
Yeah, there's no easy way for him to get out of there. Of course, the starport's done, so he can try to make a dropship, but he is in fact going to make a Banshee. That sentry energy won't last forever.
Oh, but 2 Marines do get out there, and that is going to give the vision for those tanks. He's going to have to back off.
So, right now, Noblesse can't really mine from that base, and he hasn't yet been able to pressure Alicia's base. Now, Alicia's starting to add more gateways back. In his main is going up to 4 gates. His robotics bay is nearly done as well, and this is going to be a tough spot. Alicia's not going to be able to hold this very easily, but this pressure alone makes Noblesse a little hesitant of attacking.
And then we have MVP studying the game very closely and from their booth.
Indeed they are. A little bit of action here. Sentry does get blown up.
I like this from Alicia though, is keeping Noblesse focused at his own natural rather than trying to go out and attack that gold until he can get it.
And if you do that, if you put that kind of pressure on, this is what I like to call beating the chest. Beat your chest a little bit, your opponent gets a little nervous, he's not entirely sure what he wants to do. Smartly, just knows Alicia when around that zone line watch tower. If you get too close to that and your opponent has siege tanks there, you take a lot of unnecessary fire. He also has the observer there, seeing what's going on.
Yeah, he does have an Immortal leading the charge here. He's going to soak a lot of those tank hits, and there we go. We do have that Immortal doing a lot of damage. Focus firing down the tanks. Zealots finally come out and start hitting on those Marines, pulling SCVs at the same time. All those tanks have gone down. I think there's too many units here at the moment. Noblesse being forced to pull up that ramp.
More Zealots warping in here, and it looks like Noblesse is in trouble. He can't really save his SCVs. He lifts his command center, but where are the SCVs going to run? They have nowhere to run. He has enough energy for one more force, and actually, I take it back, he doesn't. He doesn't really need it if his opponent tries to send his units down the ramp. He just has too much.
Yep. He did get that observer at the top with that Raven though. And
but during all of this, there was a Banshee at the gold base and got 12 kills.
Yeah.
So Thermal Lance is on the way. First Colossus is out. The second Colossus is on the way as well. So much stuff going on here at once. There's that Banshee. She's got 12 kills. She killed all the probes at that gold base. Every last one of them was dead.
So he did take a big hit at his natural, but he's taken a right hook back, and he's going to even things out a little bit more than he thinks. Those Zealots were being pumped out a lot quicker because of that gold base extra minerals, and he's going to have a hard time defending it.
Yeah. Does retransfer some probes over there. Now, as you guys can see back at Noblesse's base, he's trying to get a lot more units out. This may trigger him to do some sort of timing attack. It's very difficult for him to come back into the game now. Alicia's had that mining base. Even though he lost a lot of probes, he's gotten a lot of money out of that. He won that first battle convincingly, killed a lot of SCVs. In fact, right now, it's pretty close in SCVs, actually. I thought it would be a lot more different. Here comes a Banshee trying to do a little bit of harassment. She's up to 14 kills now. She's a deadly Banshee.
Alicia does have some nicely positioned stalkers at both of those bases now, so he will be pretty safe from that. There is no cloak on the Banshee either.
Yeah, it's very difficult for Noblesse to try to afford that right now after all of his losses. He spent a lot on that Raven, the tank, etc.
He will get his natural back up and running now, though, so hopefully he can get that gas income back up.
Yeah.
There are two Colossus on the field.
Yeah, this is when it's going to get really scary. The Colossi do have Thermal Lance. There are two of them. There's a lot of Zealots here to tank the hits. And it looks like Alicia may try to go and end the game now.
Yeah, those tanks hitting a couple of hits on the Colossus in the very front. That is actually going to go down very quickly. All the Zealots being hit straight into the tanks. The Marines are pretty safe at the back there. They are going to melt all those Zealots very, very quickly. And Alicia forced to pull back.
He does pull back. A nice control, nice point defense throw there by Noblesse. Alicia smartly pulling back, wanting to play it a little bit more safe. He's taking his natural right now. And to start getting those upgrades.
Oh.
Meanwhile,
there's
a Banshee at the gold.
Fortunate Twilight Council went down in his main as well. Those two Stalkers are going to save it. Oh, it's actually going to barely get away from the natural.
Yeah, we didn't get a shot of it, but the Banshee did get 2 more kills, adding up to 16, and gets away with 10 hit points there at the gold base. So that Banshee has been quite an annoyance. But meanwhile, it looks like Alicia has something to say about these backdoor rocks. He is going to tear those down, and this could put Noblesse in a really tough position.
Yeah, it's surprising there's no supply depot close to there, so he does have vision of those rocks. You can slightly see it at the moment. There we go. Looks like Noblesse has finally noticed it, bringing all his tanks back up. Not sure if they're going to be able to siege in time, though.
Yeah, this is going to be really difficult. Those Zealots are going to run right into the main. The tanks are a little out of position. Here they come. Well, maybe, and there they go.
More Banshees doing a lot of damage at the gold. These two Stalkers cannot handle both of these Banshees. 2 more being warped in, and Noblesse finally pulling back.
Yeah, Noblesse actually doing a great job with that Banshee harass. He's been doing such a great job that even our great observer, Snartail Legend, missed some of that harass because there's so much stuff going on. That's a great move, though, for Noblesse to try to use that Banshee to slow down this push, because if he loses all his probes there at the gold base because he's trying to warp units in the attack, he's going to, of course, lose out in the economy if his attack doesn't work, so he wants to be very careful. Forces him to pull back a little bit.
Well, he is mixing in some Blink Stalkers as well now, as it did start researching just then. It will help him to defend that harassment a lot easier.
Indeed.
Also has a cannon now in the mineral line in case he does go for cloak later on in the game. As he does have his expansion up now. I think he has all 4 gas as well.
Yes,
no, sorry, only 3. For Noblesse.
I was like, were you talking about Alicia or are you talking about Noblesse? Alright, so a few more Banshees leading the charge here in the middle of the map. They want to scout and take control of the watchtower. Does try to target down Stalker. Oh, nice. Gets one Stalker.
There's actually only 3 Stalkers in that mix, and yeah, I'm not going to be able to handle all these different Banshees if they're focused down correctly. One Banshee goes down though, there's just so many units, it's hard to click on them in that big ball, especially with the Colossus sitting at the top.
Right. That was a nice move though. Had he killed all the Stalkers and the other Stalkers hadn't come very quickly, it could have been very bad. I'm sure it's happened to everyone on the ladder once or twice. Your Colossi are trying to attack, if your opponent does that tank Banshee timing push and all your Colossi die and you're like, all your Stalkers rather die and you're like, uh-oh, what do I do now?
Just run, man. Run away.
Oh, in the middle of the map, a nice blink forward. He does catch one of the Banshees.
Oh, great point defense drone.
That was quite clutch on that point defense drone. But a lot of Raven energy used there to save one of those Banshees.
Now, Noblesse is going to have to be very careful with where he positions his Vikings, especially with Blink now. He will be able to come straight across that cliff that normally people would feel safe with. And if those Vikings go down, those Marines are just totally gone.
Right now, as far as worker count goes, we've got 53 probes to 44 SCVs. And in the middle of the map, there's a pretty scary Alicia army, but at the same time, the army of Noblesse has gotten quite solid as well. In fact, the supplies are just 2 behind for Noblesse. And here comes a little engagement. Nice Viking control.
Yeah, we do have that pylon on the top of the ramp there, which is actually very useful. You will be able to warp in some Zealots right in the middle of that army if they choose to engage there, but it looks like Noblesse is going to move around, actually coming in, getting that pylon while Alicia is out of position.
Yep. Very, very close in supply right now. Scans going off. And like you mentioned, that's a very good pylon placement. It allows them to see the army moving out. Of course, if you lose it, it's frustrating, but it's worth it to see the army pushing. Doesn't have enough observers to cover everywhere.
It looks like we finally have +1 attack and defense for our Protoss player. I wonder what our Terran's at.
Yeah, I'm going to check that for you right now. He's actually got no upgrades.
No upgrades.
Whatsoever.
That is coming as well.
Yeah, he's just got 1-1 on the way. His stim is actually only 2/3 done, so he doesn't even have stim just yet. And I think that's why he's been very hesitant to move out.
Yep.
If you notice, he kind of moves around the edge of those little high grounds, so if he can catch a Colossus with his Vikings, he will be able to retreat if he needs to. He doesn't want to try to force his way up the ramp.
Well, he was denied that natural for a long time, so he was didn't have as much gas as he'd want to in that particular stage of the game. We do have a couple of Zealots in this third base here for Noblesse.
Yeah, it's always frustrating when you just finally get your third up, you can try and take it all game, and the Zealot runs in and just wants to ruin your parade.
And looks like Alicia's going to take advantage of... What are those Colossus doing? Oh my god, he hasn't noticed yet. He's actually taking advantage of Noblesse being out of position, going straight into that main, and the 2 Colossus are still sitting there. SCV's being brought in. The Zealots are on the wrong side of this army here to deal with those Marines and Marauders going straight up the ramp. Colossus, oh my god, he hasn't noticed.
Yeah, this is looking really bad for Alicia. Even though he's gotten in the main, he's going to hit those production facilities. Once that force field falls, this army of Noblesse is going to be able to crush through. The Colossi are still stuck out of position, but this may be enough.
If he can take out all the production facilities before he gets there, he should be able to remax and be okay.
Yeah, I mean, he had more sensory energy than I thought, but nice move here by Alicia, running some Zealots into the third base, which is completely undefended. And now the Colossi are going to join.
Oh my god.
Oops.
But he has taken out all the production facilities.
So he has a significant supply lead, so I thought that there was only one force, but it turns out otherwise. Now, Noblesse isn't going to be able to crush this gateway heavy army right now, but he just lost all of his production, so this is going to be a pretty close scenario as all these Stalkers fall. They may want to blink away, don't get away fast enough. Supplies equalizing here just a little bit. Remember, a lot of the supply lead, though, for Alicia right now is in probes.
Yep.
So it's a pretty close army size.
He's recreating all those production facilities there, but I think he knows he has to go straight for Alicia's throat right now.
He's lost all of his command centers, except his natural, of course, and he's going to basically have to end the game with this attack, or one way or another, the game will end after this attack.
Absolutely. We do have High Templars being warped in, a lot of Archons in the army here. He's got 3 more Colossi at home. It's going to be very, very close. If he can get good tank positioning, it should help him if he goes in slowly.
Yep, and some of these Zealots going to get cut off here. That's going to be quite helpful.
That is not what Alicia needed right then.
Nice move here with the point defense drones, or rather auto turrets.
Here we go. Looks like he's going to go for it straight up into the concave. Oh, Noblesse. Those Archons are dropping extremely quickly versus all those Marines. And here we go. Looks like we're actually dropping Marauders on top of the Colossi. And the Stalkers are down. More Archons and Zealots being coming for the reinforcements here. And oh my god, I think he's done it.
That's it, man.
GG!
GG!
What a game to start off with.
That was quite intense. I wasn't really sure if he was going to be able to pull that one out after his units got in, because if your opponent has units in his main, you've got your zealots kind of running at production facilities, and the units come up, you're kind of stuck because the zealots already charged, and their AI is a little bit bugged.
And the stalkers at the front as well, so you don't get as many trade as you want.
But I didn't realize he had that many force fields, and if you have that many force fields, those are great choices. Like, you left your front door open, I'm just going to run in.
But I can't believe those two Colossi did that for so long.
Yeah, and even that came into play as well, and that made me kind of nervous. Yeah. Imagine how well he would have won that fight if those Colossi had been there.
Absolutely.
Been
drawing
disgusting.
him out into that third base, coming in when he was out of position, catching the natural between him and his army was a great move.
Was a great move indeed.
But still, like I was saying, these two players very well matched up.
Yeah, it was a pretty close series. The question is, who's going to be next?
I don't know. Who do you think is going to be next, Will?
Well, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about this because it could be anyone. Sometimes you see when you lose to a good Protoss, you see a Protoss player come out. Because PvP is one of those matchups where you can just end the game. You know, it's like if you make one mistake here or there, things kind of go badly for you. It's one of those matches where you can be way better than your opponent and still lose a lot of the time. I feel anyways, personally.
Some teams do specifically get one of their Protoss to nothing but practice PvP in case that does happen.
Yeah.
But they do get to choose the next map as well, I believe.
Yes, they do.
So
here, find out in just a second. No, MVP is a relatively new team. We don't really know all the players extremely well.
Well, new to the GSL anyway. They have been around for quite a while.
That's
true. Their players had a little bit of a tough time getting into Code A and Code S.
Yeah.
But you can't really blame them for that, especially with the caliber of the players. And both of these teams actually, I believe, have the two biggest rosters of all the teams.
I think that's true as well. So yeah, that's why actually we don't know exactly who's going to come out here. There's not that many notable players in MVP. Dan did his research, though. Yes. I know you know. Who do you think is going to come out next?
It's too tough to call. I can take my guess at it. I'll probably be wrong because given the fact that these guys do have those players on their roster that no one's seen before, you can utilize that to actually go up and snipe someone because they've seen all the games that Alicia's played because of the GSL, GSTL, and they can use that to the advantage of him going into a game knowing absolutely nothing about a player.
It's very true. So that does end up happening. The Team League is very different from a regular season game because you get to pick who you're going up against, and you have to pick kind of at spur of the moment. But it's not like really spur of the moment because, as you know, I mean, Dan and I coach, and we've been doing our FXO stuff. I'm not going to talk about specifics, but you do know players who have better matchups than other matchups. You know, there's like, oh, his PVZ is better than his PVT, so we don't want to use him against a Terran player if we can help it. But you have to take into account that if he wins, you might have to play against a Terran anyways. All right, we're going to have a coach interview.
지난 GSTL 결승에서 만나는 상대팀이어서 오프닝에서 다시 만난 게 참 부담스러워요. 그래서 최대한 재밌는 경기 지난번에 그 기억이 새록새록 쏟아나게끔 다시 한번 준비했고요. 실망시켜드리지 않는 경기 보여드리겠습니다. 오늘 경기는 대부분 올라운드 선수들 많이 배치했어요. 왜냐면은 다음 선수들이 어떤 선수들이 나와도 강적이어서 그래서 최대한 다음 카드를 대비해서도 무난하게 이길 수 있을 만한 선수들을 위주로 배치를 했어요. 이번에 새로 바뀐 룰로 GSTL 이번 오프닝 경기를 같이 하게 됐는데 지난 결승 때보다 더 화려하고 재밌는 경기를 같이 해냈으면 좋겠고요. 당연히 재미는 저희가 가져가면서 승리까지 함께 하도록 하겠습니다.
우선 지난 시즌의 결승전 너무 아쉬워서 사실 이번 시즌 첫 개막전이라 이기고 싶죠. 그런데 제가 선수들한테 한번 맡겨봤어요. 그러니까 오늘의 엔트리는 아마 감독이 짜는 게 아니라 선수들이 아마 짜게 될 것 같아요. 그래서 선수들이 나가고 싶은 사람이 이제 결정이 되면 그 엔트리를 제가 그냥 적어서 내는 식으로만 하게 될 것 같습니다. 오늘 경기는요. 상대적으로 팬분들께서도 말씀해 주시더라고요. 주피터 리그가 좀 더 센 것 같다. 뭐 어느 조에 가도 센 건 마찬가지인 것 같아요. 뭐 첫 번째 정규 시즌인 만큼 일단 첫 목표는 일단 플레이오프에 올라간 다음 그 다음 단계부터는 차근차근 준비할 생각입니다. 지난 시즌 명경기 끝에 슬레이어스가 우승하고 저희가 준우승했는데요. 이번 시즌 첫 경기인 만큼 명경기를 보여주는 건 당연하고 이번에는 저희가 승리를 가져가도록 하겠습니다.
All right, guys. Well, That's really interesting. You know, that's the thing I've noticed about these Korean teams is they pick players who feel like they're ready. You know, like he's like, oh, I asked the players if they are ready. Do you want to play? It's not like the coach is like, oh, you're playing and that guy is not quite good enough. Talks to all the players and he's like, how do you feel? Because even if you're a coach and you may know even better than the players do, you want someone who's confident. You want someone who's comfortable.
Well, their mental state is also a huge factor in the games. You can't have someone in the booth who is going to get very nervous, make mistakes that they never would back in the practice house or online. And knowing the players and getting their reactions is the best way to do that.
That's very true. When you talk to a player about his matchups, you know yourself how the matchup is. You know, you've been coaching, you've been watching, but sometimes you just want to talk to the players themselves and say, you know, hey, Noblesse, how are you feeling about starting? You know, if we put you out there, do you feel comfortable with that? Are you ready for that? Can you do that? And maybe he could approach the coach and said, you know, I want to start. I think I could do the best job. It's kind of like that. It's not always like, oh, hey, you're doing this and you're doing this. So keep that in mind.
Yep. At the same time, you don't want to get overconfident. As we saw from SlayerS' interview, I think they're a really good attitude. He does come into it, doesn't want to get cocky, does plays the team, the players that he knows.
All right, who's it going to be? One of our MVP guys, I actually don't recognize him. Who is he? He's going to sit down in his booth. We're going to find out. Coach looks pretty confident about his choice.
Yep.
MVP is kind of like a mystery team.
That's one of their best strengths as well, though, because no one really knows exactly who people are.
All right, I actually know who he is, man. That's MVP Violet.
Interesting.
One of the best
you know
ZVZ players in the world, but
thank you. Yeah, you look at me like that. We actually had a discussion before, and Wolf thought Violet would only come out ZVZ, and I said, no, he's going to come out versus the Protoss.
That's actually really interesting because Dan and I, we both had this discussion earlier saying, I'm not really sure if they're going to send out Violet versus a Protoss, and of course you did your research and you told me, well, they sent him out last time, and this time they're going to do it again, so you must really feel more comfortable with this ZVP than we've really seen.
Now, it's interesting to see which map he's going to do it on.
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see the map as well.
When they put Violet out, he only came out once in the last season, the GSTL, and he put it on Belshir Beach.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised to see this again.
I actually would expect to see Belshir Beach as well. Like I said earlier, the only person who's ever lost on Belshir Beach to a Protoss, as far as I know, was actually this guy right here, losing to SlayerS Frozen. So we'll see if he can maybe get his revenge. There's some of our foreign fans. Even the gun run in the crowd, I saw him over there.
He's everywhere these days.
There he is. GSL, I am inside you, says Gunrun.
Gunrun, of course, staying in the GOM TV.
Yeah, Gunrun is staying with us as well, doing some production stuff for us. Obviously, a worker of Justin.tv.
Well, it looks like we're just getting a map choice here.
Yeah, doing the map choices right now. It is going to be Belshir Beach.
Nice.
We are so smart. Seriously, though, if you look up the stats on that map, Protoss they just don't win. They just don't. Unless you're SlayerS Frozen, you get Void Rays in, and it's a really weird game, like in the finals last season. That happens sometimes.
It's going to be interesting, though, because they did try this exact same tactic in the finals of the last one. So, SlayerS should be ready for this.
They should be.
Whether Alicia himself is ready for it, that's going to be a different story.
It's exactly. Now, I'm sure that this situation has been gone over in their heads. They're saying, okay, so Alicia, you're going to go up first. If you win, they might send Violet against you. If they send a Zerg against you, the map will be Belshir Beach. So he's probably already prepared for this. I'm really curious to see what kind of build he's going to do on this map. This map is very, very difficult to defend the natural. There's 3 entrances to the natural. Very, very wide open. It's impossible to Nexus first. Forge fast expanding is almost suicide. Sentry expanding is even a little bit difficult. So you got to do some sort of different type of expansion build to be able to take your natural.
Yeah, I have to definitely favor Violet in this matchup right here, just purely because of the map.
Yeah, the map itself, and plus he's been chosen to play against Protoss in the past, so he obviously feels really comfortable with the matchup.
I feel kind of bad for the Protoss and MVP who have to play this matchup to help him practice, though.
Exactly.
It'll be very frustrating.
It will be. So for some reason we haven't quite gotten into the map yet, so I think there may be some sort of technical difficulty. So just hang with us, guys. Be patient. But the map is going to be Belshir Beach.
Violet looks very determined right now.
He does. He looks really,
He's ready to go.
Oh, we're going to take a 2-minute break because the map needs to be re-downloaded on the computer, so we'll see you guys after that break.